On a chilly Tuesday morning, the city bus rumbled through the streets, packed with people heading to work and school. Among them was Kamara, a 12-year-old girl with a heart full of kindness and big dreams. She had just finished a long day at school and was looking forward to getting home, finishing her homework, and catching up on her favorite TV show. Her school day had been exhausting, with endless classes and assignments. Kamara was eager to unwind and spend some time with her family. Kamara found a seat near the middle of the bus and settled in with a sigh of relief. She put on her headphones, letting her favorite tunes help her relax. The bus made frequent stops, picking up more passengers and filling the space with chatter and movement. Kamara closed her eyes, lost in the music and the steady rhythm of the bus. The bus came to a halt again, and the door whooshed open. An elderly man with white hair and a tired face climbed aboard slowly. He used a cane to help himself move forward, each step seeming to require great effort. The bus was crowded, and there weren't many seats left. Kamara noticed him immediately and saw how exhausted he looked. His coat was old and worn, and his shoes were scuffed. It was clear he had seen better days. Feeling a pang of sympathy, Kamara's heart swelled with compassion. She glanced around and saw that there was only one seat available near her. Without thinking much, she took off her headphones and stood up. "Sir, would you like to sit here?" she asked, pointing to her seat. The old man's eyes widened with surprise and gratitude. "Oh, thank you so much, dear," he said softly. His voice was gentle, and he seemed genuinely touched by the gesture. He carefully lowered himself into the seat, visibly relieved. Kamara moved to a spot where she could stand, holding onto the overhead rail for balance. She glanced at the old man occasionally, noticing that he seemed to rest a bit, his eyes closing as if he were catching a brief nap. The bus continued its journey, weaving through the bustling city streets. The ride was uneventful, with the usual hum of conversations and the occasional jostle as it stopped to let more passengers on and off. Kamara's thoughts drifted back to her homework. She hoped she'd have enough time to get everything done before dinner. She wondered if her teacher had graded the latest assignment yet and whether she'd done well. The bus ride usually gave her a moment to think and relax, but today she couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. A few minutes later, Kamara felt a gentle tap on her shoulder. She turned around, startled to see the old man smiling at her. He had a crumpled piece of paper in his hand, which he extended towards her. "I wrote you a little note," he said kindly. "As we take a moment from Kamara's touching journey, I want to hear from you. Imagine you're in Kamara's shoes on that bus. If you received a mysterious note from a stranger, what would you hope it says? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's see who can come up with the most intriguing or heartfelt message. Don't forget to keep watching to find out how our story unfolds and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Let's continue. Kamara took the note, her curiosity piqued. She unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was neat but old-fashioned, and it read, "Dear young lady, thank you for your kindness today. You have made my day much better, and I wanted to show my appreciation. After we get off the bus, please come to the park across the street. Look for the bench with the red cushion. There's something special waiting for you there. With gratitude." Mr. Mark. Kamara's eyes widened as she read the note. She was both curious and a bit apprehensive. Why would this old man want her to come to the park? What could be waiting there? Her curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to follow through with the note's request. When the bus finally reached her stop, Kamara waved goodbye to Mr. Mark, who gave her a warm smile in return. She headed to the park, which was just across the street. The park was a charming place with colorful fall leaves scattered on the ground. The air was crisp and fresh, and the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a golden glow. She walked towards the bench with the red cushion, her heart beating faster with every step. There it was, the red cushion shining brightly among the green and gold of the park. Sitting on the bench was a small, beautifully wrapped gift. Kamara picked it up and unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a shiny silver locket on a delicate chain. The locket was engraved with a simple but elegant design, and it seemed to catch the light in a special way. Just then, Kamara heard footsteps behind her. She turned to see Mr. Mark walking towards her with a warm smile. He looked as if he was pleased to see her. "I'm glad you came," he said, his voice full of warmth. "I wanted to give you something that has been very special to me." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, old-fashioned photo album. The cover was faded but lovingly cared for. "This album holds pictures of my wife and me," he said. "She always said that kindness is a treasure, and I wanted to share a bit of our story with you. The locket is something I hope will remind you of how important your small act of kindness was." In the spirit of our story about unexpected acts of kindness, let's spark a little positivity. If you could send a kind message to anyone in the world right now, who would it be and what would you say? Drop your message in the comments below. It's a great way to spread some joy and inspiration. Let's continue. Kamara took the locket and the album, feeling a rush of emotion. She opened the album carefully. Inside were black and white photos of a young couple smiling and enjoying life. There were pictures of them dancing, traveling, and just being happy together. The love and joy in the images were palpable. As she flipped through the pages, Kamara noticed a familiar face in one of the photographs, a woman who looked strikingly similar to her own grandmother. Kamara's heart skipped a beat. She pointed to the photograph and asked, "This woman, she looks a lot like my grandmother. Do you know her name?" Mr. Mark's eyes widened in surprise. "Well, that's quite remarkable. Her name was Evelyn. She was my sister. I didn't realize we might be connected, but this is incredible." Kamara's eyes grew even wider. "My grandmother's name is Evelyn. She's always told me about her family, but she never mentioned a relative named Mark." Mr. Mark looked deeply moved. "Evelyn was a wonderful person. She was my sister, but we lost touch many years ago. I thought she had moved away or changed her name, but this connection is a surprise." Kamara's mind raced. The resemblance between the photograph and her grandmother was uncanny. "Are you sure? Could there be any chance of a family connection?" Mr. Mark nodded, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "I'd say there's a strong possibility. There's something I need to show you." He pulled out a folded letter from his coat pocket. This letter was written by Evelyn herself, many years ago. I had kept it, hoping to find her someday. He handed it to Kamara, who opened it with trembling hands. The letter, written in elegant handwriting, read, "Dear Mr. Mark, I am writing this letter in hopes that someday you might find it. I have recently discovered that I am expecting a child. I am excited and hopeful, but also sad that we have lost touch. If you ever come across this letter, please know that I think of you often and hope that we can reconnect in the future. With love, Evelyn." Kamara's eyes filled with tears as she read the letter. This letter, it mentions that she was expecting a child. "My mother always told me she had a distant cousin she'd never met. Could it be that we are related?" Mr. Mark's face paled. "I had no idea Evelyn was expecting. But if that's the case, it means that our families are indeed connected. I'm amazed. The timing, the resemblance, it all fits together." Kamara felt a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "I need to tell my mother about this. This is incredible news." Mr. Mark smiled warmly. "I would love to meet your family and share more about our connection. Maybe we can finally piece together our shared history." Kamara and Mr. Mark continued their conversation, exchanging stories and memories. The unexpected twist had transformed a simple act of kindness into a profound discovery, connecting their families in ways they had never imagined. When Kamara returned home, she excitedly shared the news with her family. Her mother, overwhelmed with emotion, recognized the significance of the connection and the long-lost family ties. The discovery brought a new sense of unity and joy to their lives. In the following weeks, Kamara's family and Mr. Mark's family met, rekindling a connection that had been lost for decades. The photo album and the letter became cherished heirlooms, symbolizing a reunion and the power of kindness that had bridged the gap between their families. The locket that Mr. Mark had given Kamara remained a treasured keepsake, a reminder of the extraordinary events that had unfolded from a simple gesture of goodwill. The experience taught Kamara that even the smallest acts of kindness could lead to unexpected and life-changing outcomes, connecting people in ways they could never have imagined. As our story concludes, it's clear that a simple act of kindness can change lives and reconnect long-lost families. Now I have a challenge for you. Think about a time when a small act of kindness made a big impact in your life. Share your story in the comments below. Let's inspire each other with tales of compassion and unexpected connections. Also, if you've been touched by Kamara and Mr. Mark's story, let us know what state or country you're watching from and how this story resonated with you. Your responses are valuable to us and help create a community of sharing and caring right here on our channel.